everybody, what's up? It's your mistress, the Queen of Lions here, and welcome back to another episode of Shadows and Pretties. This is episode 99, which we are getting close to episode 100 of Shadows and Pretties, which I will find out when. I think it's going to be this week or something. I'm not really too sure. But once I get to the 100th episode, I will do a special episode. Now, I'm not going to say what it is. Well, not yet, because I don't know what it's going to be. But I am going to be sitting there and talking about another Scooby-Doo movie. So most of you guys seem to like the Alien Invaders one, which is the one I've, talked about, not too long ago. I decided to go out of my way and do the Cyber Chase. I wasn't originally going to do the Cyber Chase movie mainly because as an adult, I'm not really like crazy on the Cyber Chase. I don't know what it is, but something about it really, I think there's something about it when I got older, I didn't really, care for this movie. I mean, it's not terrible. It's not a terrible movie, but I liked Zombie Island, Witches, Ghost, and Alien Invaders. I mean, this movie's pretty good. I know some of you guys might have saw it when you were a kid on VHS or DVD. Or maybe when Cartoon Network had this going on and, on TV. So, I haven't watched this movie in, a really long time. So, yeah, it is similar to the previous film, which was Scooby-Doo and the Alien Invaders. Although, I'm going to say it's got this grimmer atmosphere, but it also has a lighter tone than the other ones. So, anyways, yeah. Just to let you know, Gray DeLisle, who's voice of Daphne Blake in this movie after Mary Kay Bergman passed away in 1999. It was the last film where Scott Innes voiced Shaggy and Scooby, and the last film where B.J. Ward voiced Velma. So, yeah, and then these movies will not feature real supernatural creatures again until, Scooby-Doo and the Goblin King, which that's another movie for another day. So, anyways, let's begin. Now, this film starts off with Professor Kaufman and his students Eric Stauffer and Bill McLemore, who are working on Kaufman's college computer lab when a virtual creature, the Phantom Virus, emerges from a new game created by Eric based on the many adventures of Mystery Inc. and tries to attack them. So, the next day, Mystery Inc. headed over to the college where they meet a suspicious security guard, Officer Wembley, who then learn from their friend Eric that the virus has assumed to be lifelike form thanks to experimental laser to transmit objects into cyberspace. And it's a low-running rampant across the campus. So, the gang goes on the hunt for the Phantom Virus, leading it to chasing Shaggy and Scooby throughout the campus. So unfortunately, the whole gang as well as the virus have been beamed into the game after an unknown person activates the laser, left with no choice. So the gang has to fight their way through the 10 levels of mystery adventures to complete the game in order to escape it. Pretty interesting concept, I'm not gonna lie. I really do like the concept of, how this went out. Like, when I first watched this as a movie as a kid, I really liked it. But something about it when I got older, I don't really know what it is, but there's something about it that I just wasn't really a fan of when I got older. I don't really know what it is. Maybe if I do find out or something, maybe I'll mention it in another video or something. I don't really know. So, basically, the gang has to go through 10 levels of mystery adventures to complete the game, with the goal of finding the box of Scooby snacks to complete each level. So the Phantom Virus, meanwhile, attempts to impede their efforts on each level. So, yeah, one level, they're fighting an enemy or something. In one level, other level, they're in China. One level, they're kind of in outer space, for example. And there's an ocean level, a dinosaur-related level. You get the picture when you watch the movie. You could see, all the concepts that they have put into it, which definitely would have to say that would be quite interesting. And it was interesting. So when they reach the 10th level, which is the final level, which is in the huge city to meet their virtual counterparts, who resembles themselves from the previous series, like the older series, before, Scooby-Doo and the gang were revamped eventually. So they confront the Phantom Virus, who wreaks the havoc across the long side level, and his lackeys are 5 villains from the gang's past, such as the Creeper, the Jaguar, the Gator Ghoul, the Tar Monster, the old Iron Face, and then all of which are these just peoples in costumes, kind of like the real world. However, the climax takes them to an amusement park, where they fight off the monsters and attempt to retrieve the last box of Scooby snacks. However, during the fight, they use a magnet to fight the virus, whom they discover that is severely weakened by magnetic forces. When magnet is lost, Cyber Scooby distracts the virus long enough for the real Scooby to retrieve the Scooby snacks, winning the game and deleting the virus and the monsters once for all. The real gang bids their farewells to their virtual selves and heads back home. While meanwhile, back in the lab, the gang reveals that they found out the real culprit. It turns out to be Bill. Due to the Phantom Virus making the baseball references throughout their adventure, Bill was a huge baseball fan, and that's when Bill is arrested by Officer Wembley, who confesses that he created the virus to scare Eric away to take all the credit for inventing the laser. So he was outraged when Kaufman chose Eric's video game design over his, well, despite it being in the college 2 years longer than Eric. He felt more than deserving the prize of money of all the university's science fair. Fearing that he would be exposed, Bill used the laser to transport the gang into cyberspace in an attempt to dispose them, which, of course, the gang and Eric play the game, which during Scooby interacts with Cyber Scooby once again, feeding them Scooby snacks. So, that's basically how the movie ends. Now, I remember watching this movie a lot when I was, like, a kid growing up. Like, I used to watch this on VHS, and a lot of the times when I watched Scooby-Doo movies as a young kid, I always liked Zombie Island, Witches, Ghosts, and Alien Invaders. But there's something about this movie that it just turns out that I'm not really, a major fan of this movie, which I don't know what it is, but there's something about this movie that I'm just not really, like, a major fan of. I seriously just don't know what it is that is preventing me from, thinking that this movie is one of my favorites. There's something about it that I really just don't know why, but for some reason I really just don't, I'm not crazy on this movie as much as I used to. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a good movie and it has a good concept and all that. I'm not saying that it's terrible. No, I'm not sitting there and saying that it's terrible. It's a great concept of this, and I'm not gonna lie. However, in the post-credits scene, which we see the gang telling the audience of what their favorite parts of the movie were, which I really found that to be quite entertaining and quite amazing when it came to that. I really do find this to be cool. Now, there is a video game based on the game called Scooby and the Cyber Chase game, which was released for the PlayStation and Game Boy Advance, which is the first Scooby-Doo movie to be on a 6th generation handheld game console, which I found that to be quite amazing. So, I guess with that being the case, I'm just going to sit there and say that I really do enjoy, how this movie, really went out. It's a pretty good concept for how this was. So, I guess I'm going to sit there and kind of, go over with, the development and, etc. So, yeah. Now, basically, when Scooby and the Cyber Chase was being released, it was the 4th direct-to-video, Scooby feature, and it was last of the original team that worked on the first 4 films. As the team was led by Davis Dole and included Glenn Leopold, Jim Stenstrom, Lance Flack, and many others. And they had previously clashed with the studio's executives who suggested the outside screenwriters for the second Scooby-Doo film like Witches Ghosts. But for Cyber Chase, it was the same situation. Executives recommend Mark Turos, a writer who already under contact with Warner Bros., who had experience with the animation. So as the crew produced the first Scooby-Doo film, Zombie Island, as well as the third Alien Invaders, the total autonomy were insulted by Warner's insistence that they use Turo's script. But the team were practically critical of Turo's draft of script, and according to Falk, that it was considered a regression of the terms of the franchise potential. They felt that placing a plot line was very unsatisfactory. In addition, it was reportedly poorly formatted and unfamiliar with the animation process. For example, the script included, complicated camera moves impossible to do with their budget, and their countless locals would have to be attendance on their design. So as the result, the original team moved on to other projects. Right after the film's compilation, as the next Scooby feature, Legend of the Vampire, was also being, written by Turos. So Stenstrom allegedly suggested they explore using the live-action scenes for outside the video game. Throughout, the idea was quickly dropped out of the first four films, such as Cyberchase. It features a larger variety of the storyboard of the artist's credits, as the team were under significantly overtime constraints and required additional help, as Cyberchase was the last Scooby-Doo film to have a feature animation produced at the Japanese studio Mook Animation. So, despite having a lack of critical consensus and reviews, the film has around 60 approval of tomato films based on the reviews. Common Sense Media gave him at least a 2 out of 5 stars, saying that the game's trapped in a video game, pure cartoon violence. So, Scooby-Doo and the Cyberchase was released on October 9th, 2001 for both VHS and DVD formats, as the film was released on Blu-ray sometime in March 29th of 2011, and it was the first Scooby-Doo movie to ever be produced in the high animation format. So, the video game of Scooby-Doo and the Cyberchase is basically the same thing, except, there's more stages. So, in the PlayStation version, Scooby-Doo and Shaggy are in the 3D environment, and they defeat bosses and stuff like that. Like, one is called Classic Japan, Ancient Rome, Arctic Circle, Prehistoric Jungle, Big City, Egypt, Amusement Park. And, they had different levels of this. When in the Game Boy Advance version, it was just more complicated in a sense, if you get what I mean. Now, this film, I'm going to say, is going to turn 20 years old this year, which I'm very surprised, because this one came out in 2001. It came out the year after Alien Invaders came out. Like I said, in my opinion, when I was a kid, I really liked the movie. I actually found it to be amazing as a kid. But as an adult, I don't know what it is, but something about it, I don't really know what it is. But for some reason, as an adult, I'm not that crazy fan of the movie. Like, sure, the animation was good and all that, and I like the plot of how everything went out and all. I don't know what it is, but there's something about it that I really just don't know why. But there's something about it that I really can't point out at the moment. But there's something about the Cyberchase that made me, not be, a major fan of it. Like, I still don't get it to this day, even though I'm, almost 23, so, yeah, I can't really point that out right now. Maybe if I do find out what it is in the future, or maybe somebody could point it out for me, feel free. If for those who want to point it out, or figured it out already, feel free to leave me in the comments below, because I would like to kind of, sit there and, take a look at that. The animation itself was pretty good. It's not a terrible, movie in a matter of sense. It's not a terrible movie. I have to say, it's not terrible in any way, shape, or form. I found it to be pretty good. Although, I will admit, I don't really, I'm going to be completely honest that, they had some good moments in there, and I actually really liked the animation. And I'm really glad they brought the old style of how the original, variants of themselves, look like from the 60s. It's like they pretty much revamped the 60s and 70s versions of Scooby in the gang and make it more, kind of realistic. It's pretty interesting in a matter of way. And as you could see or hear, if you're hearing that noise, it's raining where I am right now. So if you do hear some noises, it's just raining. So I guess with that being the case, that being said, I'm going to sit there and, wrap up this video. There's nothing really much to say, but I'm going to sit there and say this right now, that this is, I'm going to sit here and say this. I'm going to sit here and say this right now, that this is just simply my own personal opinion, and if you happen to disagree with me, that's totally fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions regarding these, movies, and this is simply my own personal thoughts. Even though I'm not a fan of this movie, I still find this movie to be quite enjoyable as a kid. And as an adult, I do find it enjoyable, but I still can't figure out what it is that I really didn't really care about it. I still can't figure it out. It's been bugging me, I guess, 2019 or maybe 2018. It's been kind of bugging me on why I, wasn't crazy on this, but this film itself was not terrible, but I would have to say it's a pretty good, interesting one. But anyways, I guess I kind of, gave my rating on this back in 2019, but for those who haven't been on my channel since then, or like for those who have been on my channel since last year, and for those who came on this channel this year, I'm going to sit there and say that I give Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase a 6 out of 10. Not a terrible movie. I liked it as a kid a lot, but now there's something about it I don't understand or know what it is yet, but something about it just made me, kind of lost interest in the movie. I think that's what it is. I could be wrong, however. But it's still a pretty good movie. Like, it's not a terrible Scooby-Doo movie, but it's a pretty good one at that. So, if you're a Scooby-Doo fan, such as myself, you should really go check out this movie, as I will, sit here and say right now that it is on YouTube. You guys can go check it out if you want to. You will not be disappointed once you see this. And if you're hearing that thunder, it's just kind of storming right now, so just thought I would let you know. That's the day I'm recording this, so whenever I upload this, it's probably not going to be a thunderstorm. But the day I'm recording this is like almost a week from now. But anyways, with that being the case, that being said, what did you guys think about this movie? Do you all enjoy it? Did you all not? Also, what you have done personally to help make this movie a lot better, feel free to leave me know what your thoughts are down in the comments section down below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. And if you happen to be brand new here on this channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Ring the bell for notifications to when I upload, so then you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out.